Hear the stories of men and women switching hustles and escaping the odds through entrepreneurship after prison. Not only will these stories inspire you, but also unlock business tips for financial freedom. Thank y'all for tuning in to another dope episode of Escaping the Odds podcast. I am your host, Aaron Smith, and I got my main man here with me today, Mr. Myron Pierce out of Omaha, Nebraska. Spent some time incarcerated, but even more so, he's a business leader, pastor, author. Man, got a whole lot going on. A lot of great things going on in Omaha, and just really putting the city on the map from a business standpoint, spiritual standpoint. Really great dude to know. Had the opportunity to really kick it with him over these last 9 months, and so built a rapport with him. So want to really be able to get his story out there, man, and some of the things he's doing in the city, just nationally as well. So I want to introduce Mr. Myron Pierce to Escaping the Odds podcast. What's up, bro?
What they do, man?
Yes, sir, man. Thanks for coming on, man. We've been trying to get a hold and get this together for a while now, man. We finally got it.
Man.
Yeah, let's get straight to it, man. As I mentioned, man, you're a business leader, man. Mentor, man, like a pillar within the community, man. And I tip my hat off to that, especially after spending a significant amount of time incarcerated. 8 years, is that correct?
Yeah, 8 years, man.
Yeah, man.
Behind the wall, man. 8 long years too, fam.
Yeah, man. I trust me, bro. I know, man. But during those 8 long years, man, you made it work for you more so than the other way around. And so if we can kind of get into your backstory, man, because you accomplished so much since you've been out. Now, how long you been out? You say 12 years, correct?
Yeah, I've been out since 2008.
Okay, yeah. So about 13 years, yeah, man. But there's been so much that you've done during that time. But before we get into that, I kind of want to get into your backstory, man. Like, who is Myron Pierce? I know you grew up in Omaha, man, and a lot of people don't know a lot about Omaha. Even myself, I had to go to federal prison to kind of meet some really good brothers from that area and really learn a lot about the city, man. So we can kind of talk about that and even talk about how the city played a role in your incarceration and the whole nine.
Yeah, it's crazy. I was on a business call today with a cat from Atlanta.
Okay.
And he was telling me, he said, man, I ain't never been to Omaha, and he's like, is it black folks there? And I'm like, yeah, And so when you think of Omaha, you don't think of things that could happen to catch in where a cat could end up going to the penitentiary or anything happening, people jumping off the porch acting crazy. But it's happening right here, man. And in fact, at some point, Omaha was the #1 deadliest place for a black man to live.
Wow,
per capita in America.
Wow.
Even in front of Chicago. And so I was born in that environment, man. My mama was on crack cocaine. My daddy was on heroin. We grew up in the projects, grew up in poverty, jumped off the porch, got involved in gangs, and so that was the normal, what I mean? And so obviously, man, those ingredients, man, took me down, upstate, basically.
Right. And so that whole experience upstate, was that your first time being incarcerated?
No, man. So at an early age, man, 12, 13, I was in and out of juvie, and 12, 13, getting in trouble, petty theft, drugs, things like that. But my first my first real sentence, bro, was when I was 16. I was facing a lot of time in the penitentiary at 16.
Yeah.
And the judge cut me a break, sent me to the youth pen. We ended up with a youth pen here in Nebraska, man. Youngest cat, 12 years old with a life sentence, bro.
Wow.
12. Sentenced as an adult.
At 12 years old?
At 12 years old. And so that was my first introduction to youth prison.
Yeah.
And I went to youth prison and spent some time there, like 18 months.
Yeah.
Got back out, and was only out for about 5 months.
Yeah, that was like preparation for the big dogs, though.
It was definitely preparation for the big dogs.
Yeah.
And man, so just a crazy You know, the whole idea of the odd, like the reality, man, is we're born for the most part against the odds.
Yeah, definitely.
And it took a lot for me to escape the odds, man. A
Yeah,
lot that I had to learn,
yeah.
you know, even in the penitentiary.
So some of those lessons that you learned while you were incarcerated, I know for me, man, that was my time where I say I grew up, even though I went to prison when I was 27. And most people say, okay, you're a man at that point, right? But for me,
Right.
as I look back on that, like I grew up in prison. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? Definitely from a spiritual standpoint, numero uno on that.
Right.
But just like looking at the world differently, you know what I'm saying? Accept responsibility for my actions and not blaming other people and
Yeah.
situations and stuff like that. Although, your environment definitely do play a part, you know what I mean? But at the same time, we make the decisions that we make. And so as I stated, I learned so many lessons while I was in there, and I was around a lot of good brothers while I was incarcerated. I know it was probably the same way for you. And so what was that turning point, or what was that whole experience like going to the state penitentiary out there? Because I know y'all got one that's like the max joint. I seen one of them on I think it's called Tecumseh, something like that.
Yeah.
Or
Tecumseh.
yeah, Tecumseh. Yeah, man. It's like there ain't no walk in the park. You know what I'm saying?
No,
And
super
so
max.
yeah, absolutely, man. And so if we could just kind of go through that experience, man, of being incarcerated, even though it wasn't your first time incarcerated, so you was kind of, to be honest, it's kind of used to that whole rigmarole, right? But
Right.
now you in penitentiary, and how much were you sentenced to on this last one?
Yeah. The first one was 2 to 3. The last one was 14 to 30, and
Wow.
that was at the age of 18. That was without parole.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. So first 14 to 30. So you don't know how much time you're going to actually do. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yeah. You gon' minimum on a 14 to 30 without parole. You gonna do 15.
Wow. Okay. So going in, kind
I'm
of
sorry. I'm
knowing
sorry.
this.
Minimum. I'm sorry. Minimum. You gonna do 7.
Okay. Got
Maximum. You gonna do 15 on that.
you. Okay. I got you.
Maximum. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Got you. Okay. So walk me through that, man. Walk me through actually going in an environment again as an 18-year-old. You're a kid. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? Even though at that age, we feel like we're grown, we're in the streets, we doing quote unquote adult things or whatever. But at the end of the day, we still babies. And so take me through that mindset, man. Like what were some of the things you had to experience in there actually growing up?
One of the things I had to experience was, and you said it, even while I was awaiting, like the night I got arrested
Yeah.
for this second stint. One of the very things that I realized, and you said it, is I had to take responsibility for my actions.
Yeah.
And for me, taking responsibility for my actions meant that I had to first be accountable to my creator.
Mm,
That what he had in mind for me wasn't the way that my life was unfolding. And I had to answer to him for that. I had
yeah.
to be honest with him. In fact, one of the first things I said when I got arrested that night, I fell on my knees and I said, God, man, I'm destroying my life.
Huh.
Right. And I said, but if you change me, I'll serve you for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
And so I think one of the first lessons was, man, I'm accountable. I'm accountable with how I steward my life at the
Hmm.
end of the day. And if I don't want to be accountable now, eventually I'm going to be accountable for it later because my life ain't my own anyway.
Right.
Right. And so as I took responsibility for that, it gave me perspective that no matter what was going to happen to me after as a result of my actions and my own decisions,
Yeah.
I can deal with that now,
Yeah. Gotcha.
because I'm willing to take on the consequences for my actions. And so that was huge for me, like day one of getting arrested on that
Wow.
second stint. That
Yeah.
really set me up to say, you know what? All right, what it means to be a man is to be accountable to the life I was given and
Mhm.
responsible for the life that I'm called to live.
So
And
go ahead. I'm sorry.
no, no, go ahead, go ahead.
And I was gonna say it sounded like you had got like that sense of peace, what I'm saying, in your spirit. I think some people that kind of go through that spiritual awakening, um, like how you stated, no matter what was gonna happen, it's like you was kind of okay with it, you know what I mean? Because you accepted responsibility and the whole nine. And so yeah, so you can go ahead and finish on that. I just want to kind of
Well, like we're taught that it's all somebody else is always the reason why, and like you said, we could be honest and say that I hear people say all the time, the system is broke. Well,
yeah.
reality is the system is not broke. It was built that way,
Mm,
and we're getting what we have based on a system that was built. So we have to acknowledge that that's the truth.
yeah.
What I didn't realize is, although the system that I'm a product of the system that was built, that I then have power, even
Mm,
though I'm in a system, because like that's a reality. Like that like we're powerless and we're victims and we're
mm,
taught that
yeah.
to blame the system, which the system is going to be held accountable one day as well.
Yeah.
Um, but I had to take responsibility and I had to take my power back. That was another
Yeah.
lesson that I had to
Yeah.
learn. That
Right.
regardless of what happened to me, I have the power to respond
Right.
and I get to choose. I have a choice, even though I'm facing 14 to 30. I have a choice to respond in a way that's wholesome and healthy
Yeah.
and to my advantage.
No, man, you hit it on the head, man. One of the things that I would tell myself is that um person's going to leave prison two ways, either bitter or better. One of
Right.
the two. You know what I mean? And as you and I both know, in a lot of cases, like guys, men and women, they come home bitter. You know what I mean? Because of whatever situation is. But at the end of the day, um, that power, as you stated, you know, it could be 1,500 people on the yard, and what makes it different from me and you, if I'm doing my time the right way, letting the time work for me, and I'm not spending my time at the poker tables and gambling and gang banging, politics and doing all that.
Hmm.
What's the difference? Like we both got the same 24-hour day. We both in the same environment, a really tight knit community. You know what I'm saying? We ain't
Hmm.
going too far, right? And so it goes back to that power, right? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Taking your power back. Okay, yeah, they got me locked up, right? But I'm not gonna allow it to lock my mind. So in the beginning,
Right.
I didn't use those terms, but I knew that was my approach and that was my attitude. And so
Right.
it sounded like you took that same approach, man. And so, but while you were there, kind of want to get into the business aspect of things, right? Okay, you got your mindset shift on, okay, how you going to do your time? What were some of those things on how you did your time? Was it, of course, the working out, the reading business books, and the building up your faith and all that? So we can get into that.
Bro, one of my greatest fears was, we all know people older than us who were in the cycle of going to prison, getting
Yeah.
out, going back to prison. And one of my biggest fears was being institutionalized.
Mm,
It was my biggest fear.
yeah.
And but when I got the revelation of my identity, I no longer feel being institutionalized, right? I know, what do I mean by that? And how did I confront and navigate not allowing the institution to get so ingrained in me that I became institutionalized? It
Okay.
was this. It was simply this, that the institution, if I allowed it, would facilitate a way of thinking for me
Hmm.
that would allow me to rely on it for the rest of my life.
And what does that look like?
Yeah, yeah. So a couple things. It's subtle. So my institutional number was 55089. Is that
Right.
correct? So when they would call me, and then they call you by your last name,
Yep. Yep.
right? All of that is psychologically
Is
created to
mm,
develop a sense of slavery,
yep.
institutionalism.
Yep.
And so I would introduce, anytime we'd have a new caseworker, a new case manager. Hi, my name is Myron Pierce,
Yeah.
right? And so in my mind, in my thought process, I would never partner with my identity being a number.
Gotcha.
In my mind, I thought, I'm not a number. I'm
Yeah.
a name. I'm a name, and my name is Myron. And the
Right.
name Myron, means anointing oil. And it was that same oil that the lady with the alabaster box broke over the feet of Jesus. That's called Muran, which meant
Okay.
that, wow, I'm very, very expensive and,
You're right.
and valuable, and
Yeah.
you know what I mean. And
Yeah,
so
absolutely. Yeah.
that was one way that I would do it. Another way I would do it was this, was I would create my own schedule, even though they control my schedule.
Okay.
Right.
Gotcha.
So I would get a book,
Yeah.
a planner. Right. I'll create a planner from something you buy off the canteen, like notebook, and I'll open it up and I'll say, okay, and I will create my day. This is what
Yeah.
I have to do today. And
Yeah.
I would organize my life around planning my life within an institution.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And the other thing that I would do is I would forego not going to the poker table, not gambling, not all that. Why? Because that was set up to institutionalize you into thinking that this is where you're going to be for the rest of your life. And
Yeah.
I chose no, and I had a big revelation, bro,
Yeah.
that kept me from the institutionalization of the
Mm-hmm.
penitentiary. And this was the revelation. It's super dope. I'm a free man waiting to be released.
Yeah. I like it.
That
Yeah.
Hey, that hit me. That hit me so hard one day, man.
Yeah.
I was reading the Purpose Driven Life,
Yeah.
and when I was reading it, it hit me. Man, my purpose is bigger than my prison,
Ooh, yeah.
and
Yeah.
that just exploded in
Yeah.
me. Where I thought, wait a minute, I'm a pastor waiting for his congregation.
Yeah.
I'm a businessman waiting to incorporate.
Yeah.
I'm a free man waiting to be released. And so all of a sudden, I had to alter how I was thinking, not based
Mhm.
on my
Yeah.
surroundings, but based on my future.
Man, that. You're right, man. That's super dope. Hey, did you ever feel like that this was for me? Like I had this epiphany one day or revelation where it was like, man, everybody say they're not supposed to be there. That's nobody wants to be there, right? You know what I mean? But
Right,
I
right,
really
right.
had this revelation or epiphany where it was like, man, you're not here for you. Like,
Mm.
I don't know what I was
Wow.
doing. It just kind of hit me one day, like, man, look, because I think I was fighting my case trying to get out. So you know how you do in a law library,
Right,
or
right,
whatever, right?
right, right, right.
Hey, and I'm gonna tell you, man, something came over me, man. Like going back to the sense of responsibility, right? I knew what I had did it, right? But
Right,
just the ambition in me is like, you fight this case, the law come out, you like, okay, I can fight on technicalities, right? And so I think that
right.
I was doing some legal work or whatever, and just kind of came over me like, man, you know what? Look, man, you here for a reason. Stop fighting. And I'm like, man,
Mm.
stop fighting. Now the guy that was helping me with my paperwork, doing everything for me, he's doing it for free because I ain't had the money to pay him, right? So
Right,
we've been spending 6 months on this case, going back and forth, right?
right,
And I'm
right.
like, man, how I'm gonna tell this dude he already doing it for free that man,
Man,
no, I'm cool. I want to shut this down, man. Case closed. You know what I mean? But I
right.
told him he understood it. But my whole point in bringing that up is just to kind of say like something had came over me. Like, look, man, you here for other people. You here because
Mm.
you're going to use this experience like most people don't use this experience. You're going to get out, and as now I see it now, you know what I mean, that
Right,
you're going to create. I didn't realize I was going to create a platform, and it's going to be, this whole thing that I'm doing now. Even though I had this idea while I was incarcerated, but I didn't think it can. You know what I'm saying? And so
yeah,
that's what it was about. And then I would
yeah,
read heavy in my words. So I'm reading about Joseph and every situation he was put in. He was put in a leadership role, whether it was in prison or whatever situation was. But of course, he couldn't see that in the beginning when his brother sold him as a slave.
right,
You know what I'm saying?
right.
And so that was my revelation and my epiphany. And so once I realized that, like subconscious, I got to move it differently. You know what
Mm.
I'm saying? Like, okay, because I was always a leader no matter where I was at. You know what I'm saying? So really, my leadership skills were really honed while I was incarcerated because, again, I knew that I was placed there for a reason. You know what I'm saying? And that the mindset that he had given me, I was going to be able to use it and really be inspiring to other people. You know what I'm saying? And so
Hmm.
as I look back on it, I see that that's what it was. And so it sounded like it was the same way for you as
Yeah,
well.
yeah, it was, bro. And even as you're talking, it reminded me of a night I was up. I was up one night, I couldn't sleep, and I had the chessboard on top of my TV, and the
Yeah,
pieces set up, and I'm just sitting there and I'm looking at the chessboard, bro,
yeah,
and I just had this, bro. I had one of these epiphanies where it
yeah,
was like I'm thinking about my daughter's young at the time. ain't nobody writing me. We know
Yeah.
that's like gold. Ain't no
Yeah.
money in my books. I'm struggling in my mind, no matter how bad I'm fighting this idea of not being institutionalized.
Yeah.
And this thought came to me: don't run from the pain. Embrace how you feel right now, because
Yeah.
it's gonna be for somebody later.
Yep.
And
Yep.
so, like in that moment, bro, I just felt the pain of being separated and my bad decisions and all my indiscretions and all of a sudden, it's like in that moment, I thought, okay, I'm going to embrace this now because it's going to be for somebody later.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely, man. And so, far as embracing, right? Far as from a business standpoint, I know you went in early. I'm not sure if you had really any kind of entrepreneurial drive, you know, legally, of course, before you went in. But what kind of really made you look at entrepreneurship as a way, you know, once you got out, that this would be a way that, or was it something that you thought of while you were incarcerated, or where you were out, and you kind of was like, okay, I want to start this business, so we can kind of go through that process.
Yeah, man, I've always been a hustler,
Yeah,
right? And most of us who are in the penitentiary, we have this sense of the entrepreneurial spirit, but
yeah,
we're just hustling in reverse. We hustling backwards.
yeah,
But when I accepted responsibility, when I got serious about my faith, I started to dream again, man.
yeah,
I started to dream
yeah,
about, it's like
yeah,
how can I be an asset to my community? And so I started to think about my hood, and I'm like, man, what can I do? How I used to say it like this, like I want to go from a dope dealer to a hope dealer. You know what I
yeah,
mean? So like I want to bring that hope back to my section. And so I started dreaming like 20 years out from the penitentiary, bro. I started writing down my dreams. I read this book by Miles Monroe called
oh wait,
called The
yeah,
Purpose and Power of Vision. And I
yeah,
got in that and I started writing out my 20-year vision, fam. And I started
yeah,
seeing myself as a pastor, bro, but not a
yeah,
typical pastor in a suit though, because
right,
I can't get down like that. I need to
right,
be able to be in my J's. I need to
yeah,
be in my, you know what I mean, my snapback, you know what I
yeah,
mean, my piercings, my tattoos. Like I want to be that kind of pastor. So I
yeah,
started thinking and dreaming and writing goals down. Then I thought, man, you know what? I want to take this hustle and I want to use it. And so I started like planning entrepreneurship programs from the prison, bro. Like how it's
yeah,
gonna happen, the kind of businesses I wanted, the kind of education that I wanted to subscribe to. And like every single day, bro, I would just do that. I'm like, man, I'm on a mission, fam,
yeah.
and I'm going somewhere. And I literally planned out my 20-year vision, bro. I am living in my 20-year vision right now.
Wow, bro, man, that's a hell of a testimony there, man. And so with the church, once you did get out, right? How
Yeah.
long was it before you actually started the church and
So
pastored the church?
yeah, so it's crazy, bro. I was I had a year of work release, right?
Yeah.
So I went to college to a little private Christian university, man, got my degree in biblical studies and business leadership.
Okay.
Yeah. So while in college, I met a white dude who was in the hood, had a nonprofit, and was kind of trying to start churches and reach people like me. And he couldn't really get it off the ground like he wanted to. And I was serving in the hood at this kids ministry. I ended up meeting this chick who was interested in me. I was interested in her.
Yeah.
She introduced me to him, and while in work release, he hires me at the nonprofit.
Okay.
I'm I'm in the hood working at this nonprofit.
Yeah.
Three months after I get out, fam, we started church in the same hood I was gangbanging in,
Wow. Wow.
bro. Just 3 months of being out.
Man, that's crazy. That is
I
crazy. That's
know,
God. That's
bro.
all day long.
Man, that's all God, bro. I know what I
Yeah.
was doing. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And bro, it was going crazy. I mean, young people, galore, bro. Cats come to youth night strapped, dog. Like,
Yeah.
but they know it's a safe place because you know what I mean. Somebody like me who done came back to their section, who
Right.
love them, who haven't changed externally but has been
Yeah.
transformed internally. Man, it was like that was the wonder. Them was the wonder years for real, bro.
Wow, man. And so how were you able to kind of expand all of that, man? Because you got the church that you're doing have right now, Now that's the foundation, and everything that's surrounding that. You got the shift program. I heard about that. We talked about that in the past. Entrepreneurship program. Man, yeah. Let's touch on one of those businesses you got going, man, and like how are you able to kind of keep it all together? Because it
Oh
seems
yeah.
like a whole lot.
Yeah. So we started a church in 2008. A couple years later, I go to Colorado to do the
Yeah.
same thing. Went to Colorado, started a church. But the crazy thing that happened was a year and a half into starting the church, we ran out of money.
Okay.
So my wife looked at me like, "Man, homeboy, you better figure something out."
Right.
So, bro, I borrowed $100, went and got an LLC,
All right.
started a detail company with these supplies: a Kirby vacuum, some Dawn soap,
Right.
rag from the laundry closet,
Yeah.
and I put on my suit, went down to a local dealership, said, "Hey, my name is Myron Pierce. I'm the founder and CEO of Front Range Detailing. I would love to begin a contract with you." And bro,
Yeah.
they said yes,
Right.
right? And the only way I started that company was because my uncle was trying to keep me out the penitentiary when I was a gangbanger at 14, 15. So he gave me a detailing job.
Right.
So I get busy in front of my house in the driveway, fam. And in 3 months, it became crazy successful. I got all these cars parked at my crib. My neighbors tripping. They like, is this
Yeah.
brother selling drugs? Like, what's happening with
Yeah.
this cat? Right. And then I called back home and hollered at one of my donors. And I said, yo, man, you wouldn't believe it. I need you to make an investment in this business because it's changing lives. I'm hiring cats coming out the penitentiary. Right.
Yeah.
And so I go from 3 months to 6 months. I get a $15,000 grant from this cat. We open up a storefront. We got 13 employees. We're bringing in 30 racks a month. I mean, it is insane,
Wow.
crazy. And I
Wow.
and I and I thought, I'm like, you know what? It's not enough for me to switch my hustle and
Mhm.
become successful. I want to help other people. So we launched an entrepreneurship program right there in
Okay.
Colorado Springs.
Okay.
Mayor got behind it, gave us
Ooh wee.
$1 million, fam. And then I had this epiphany, man, you got to go back home and do this.
Yeah.
And so I came back home and
What year was
started
this?
came back home in 2020 2012. I'm sorry, 2015. Came back home to Omaha,
Okay.
right? And did the same thing over again. And so now, but when a couple years after I came home, we started a church. And then one day I came outside, money was falling from the sky. I don't know if you've ever seen money falling from the sky, but I looked up and money was falling from the sky,
Right.
right?
No, I ain't never
And
seen that
I called yeah.
one.
You ain't never seen it. I called
And
my partner. I called my partner. I was like, "Yo, man, like it's money falling from the sky. Like, man, what you smoking?"
right.
I said, "Bro, it's hailing right now.
Yeah.
We're in the middle of a hailstorm." I said, "Let's start a roofing company."
Got you. Okay. Right.
bro,
Right.
listen, have only been on the roof one time in my life. Scared to death of heights. You
Right.
know what I
Yeah.
mean? And I'm like, let's start a roofing company, bro. And we started a roofing company, become a multi-million-dollar company, man.
Yeah.
And then we parted ways.
Yeah.
That's a whole nother podcast.
Yeah.
But in the middle of that, I launched a digital marketing agency,
Okay.
right? And that just is booming. And so, while I'm leading the church, got the digital marketing agency, and then we started this entrepreneurship program, which is really quickly, created a whole entrepreneurial ecosystem.
Yeah.
And the only way that I can explain that I'm managing it is, number one, having to be okay with things being at 80%.
Mm.
Am I okay with an 80% church? Am I okay with an 80% business? Am I okay being an 80% leader? Am I okay with that? Am I okay with things not being perfect? Right.
Wow. Okay.
And I'm having to live with the 80% rule. And then secondly, delegation has been huge for me. Right. So and what that means as a pastor is I'm not trying to be the rock star preacher. I'm not trying to be TD Jakes. I want to elevate leaders around me. I want people to feed themselves. I want leaders to realize that it's not the Obi-Wan Kenobi show, but it's a family of people on a mission to unleash hope in the hood, right?
Right.
And
Yeah.
so it's very decentralized, right? And then my company is the same way. And the programs we have are the same way, where we have leaders at every level. And that's the best way that we can make it happen, and it's working.
Yeah. So how are you able to like know who's who for the best position? You know, especially those managerial roles where they're going to be heading up that particular business or um
Yeah,
division within that company.
yeah. Leadership development is imperative, and basically, my structure for leadership development is watch me, right? And as you watch me, then after you watch me, I want you to do what you see, and then as you do what you see, then you can lead what you see. And then if you can lead what you see well, then I can leave and start the next thing.
Got you. Got you.
Yep. So watch me, work with me, lead it. That's the process of leadership development. And for some people who are in one of our programs or leading in our church or leading in my company, some are paid, some are unpaid. But
Hmm.
I always start out, ain't nobody getting paid,
Yeah.
right? And then I never go from volunteer to W-2. I always go volunteer, stipend,
Hmm.
W-2, right?
Right. And
Uh,
why do you do that?
for a number of reasons. I want to test your heart. I
Got
want to
you.
test your heart, and then I want to scale, because a lot of times people start companies that where the overhead is so much that
Hmm.
you sink what you started before you get started,
Yeah.
right? And so that's kind of been my philosophy when it comes to leading a church, when it comes to starting a company. I think at the end of the day that works for me.
Yeah.
It helps me test the heart, man. I want to know that somebody's not in it for the money, but they in it for the vision.
Yeah. No, that's absolute, man. I'm at that point now, man. You know, thankfully, man, I'm been blessed to kind of have people around me. Young lady Megan, as you met, and so God is will continue to place people in my life as long as I keep being a good steward of what I'm doing. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah,
playing my part the correct way. And that's for anybody that's trying to start something. You know, oftentimes we don't want to delegate, or we so close to whatever that business is. And you know, and of course in the beginning you kind of doing everything. Like for the first year I was
right.
doing the podcast, I was doing everything. I'm like, just now I'm kind of starting to
Grinding.
get release a little, you know what I mean, duties, you know what I'm saying, if you will. But I think that needs to happen that way for anybody that's listening, because you need to understand and know certain things, and that way you have like an expectation, because you kind of just because you've been through it yourself or whatever. And of course you'll still be learning as you
Right.
go, but at least you'll have an understanding of a foundation of where you want your company to go. Um, and yeah, man, you sound like me with a whole lot of different ideas, and that's the point where I'm at right now. And it's like got a couple ways I want to go with the brand, and just making sure that I didn't want to be all over the place. And I know that a lot of my listeners, you know, whether they're incarcerated or there's someone that just want to kind of start a business or they work for an organization, right? Just being able to just to be focused on what you need to
Yeah.
do. So what's your advice with that?
Well, a lot of our people, bro, especially those of us who done been behind the wall, a lot of us are type A. We're visionaries,
Yeah,
and problem with that is we want to start a number of things at the same time.
yeah.
And the lessons that I'm learning is I look at companies like Amazon. When it was first started, it was where you went
For
to buy
books.
a book,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And they got insanely successful at being an online platform. They put bookstores out of business, bro.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
They disrupted the whole industry. And so my point is disrupt an industry before you start doing more things. And
Mm.
then as you disrupt an industry, then you can beta test something that could then become a flywheel or a caveat to what you've already disrupted, and then you end up monopolizing. And so what
Mm.
did they do? They started Amazon Prime, where they added different products, and then after they added Amazon Prime, now they're into you know transportation and
Yeah.
airplanes, and like now they're starting Amazon businesses, and but the foundation had to be in place before that. And so I'd say, man, focus on something that you can do really well, show proof of concept, and as you
Hmm.
show proof of concept, you ask the question, is this profitable? And then you learn how do I build a branch. So for example, when we started the roofing company, we started it with the understanding that we would launch a an umbrella company called Village.
Okay.
Right? We'd have Village Exteriors, Village Tees, Village Social, Village, right? But we'd build this trunk first, this umbrella first, right? And as we've built that umbrella, now we're able to launch out and do different things.
Okay.
And then even bigger than what I'm doing and companies I'm starting, man, my number one passion right now is not what I'm starting, but me getting in position to help somebody start something else. Because I'm seeing a lot
Yeah.
of problems in our section, in our community, that
Hmm.
I alone I can't accomplish it by myself, but I can create a platform
There you
and
go.
an incubator where
Yeah.
other people can come in and be trained and equipped to go solve those problems.
Yeah. No, I love that, man. That's absolutely true, man. Just being able to, like the saying states, like give a man a fish he eats for a day, but to teach a person a fish he eats for a lifetime. And so that's what you're doing. And so let's talk about that shift program.
Yeah, yeah. So shift is the product of a vision to unleash hope in the hood. And my discontent is that uh, we have churches that know how to worship on Sunday, but not equip on Monday.
Mm-hmm.
And we wanted to be the kind of church that said, "Hey, what if we went after the problems that exist in the hood, that being economics, that being poverty, joblessness, right? And what if we started shifting the way that people think?" So our whole mission behind the entrepreneurship program is let's shift the way people think, ages 18 to
Mm-hmm.
45 in our section. Let's shift them into an entrepreneurial mindset. And if we
Yeah.
could shift them into an entrepreneurial mindset, then they will begin seeing the problems,
Mm-hmm.
identifying the solutions, executing a plan,
Yeah.
and we could really unleash hope where we're at.
Right.
And so that's been insanely fun, and it's been beautiful to see how people have sprouted as a result of that program, man.
Yeah. So with all the different businesses that you name, upon because you mentioned that legal structure look like to be able to separate. Do you have different business accounts for each one of those different things, or are the funds like commingled? So if you can kind of break down the logistics, if you will, of
Yeah,
that whole legal structure.
yeah. So I look at it as a whole big model. There's a number of ways to structure,
Right.
right? If you see yourself as a visionary and you want um, to start an umbrella or a shell company,
Yeah.
that's what I would say first. Number one, I would start a shell company. So, like for example, Village Enterprises, right? And then as we start new companies, then they can be DBA'd,
There you
right?
go.
They can be DBA'd into divisions.
Yeah.
So Village Enterprises is the shell company, but maybe you want to start a t-shirt company, Village T, that's a division,
Right.
right? And these divisions are DBAs, right? And then you just keep everything organized in that category. I think I
Mhm.
found that that's the best. And if you're a pastor, like one of the things we also have is a nonprofit,
Mm.
right? So we have a nonprofit that aids us in getting the funds that we need to make a difference
Gotcha.
in the hood. Yeah,
No,
yeah,
I love that setup, man, because that's something I've been just thinking about how to really go about doing that. And I'm sure a lot of the listeners, they may be going through the same dilemma. So that was really helpful, man. Definitely appreciate that. So what's next, man, for Myron and just all the business that you got going on? Like what's like on 2021
Yeah,
playlist? If you will?
that's good, bro. 2021 for me personally, I'm looking to really scale my digital marketing agency. So
Yeah,
just as a leader, I'm saying I'm realizing the need that organizations, nonprofits, and businesses are having, especially in the face of the pandemic.
mm,
People didn't anticipate how their company needed to be involved in digital marketing, and so
yeah,
being able to grow and scale my company is number one for me. Number two, we really want to scale our entrepreneurship program into a full blown ecosystem. What I
gotcha.
mean is that we're answering the problems that entrepreneurs have from conception in their mind of the kind of business they want all the
Hmm.
way to them starting a business and needing the coaching that they need. So we want to build a full fledged ecosystem that helps the entrepreneur become successful in their
Yeah.
endeavor. Um, and then, possibly I'm starting to do some coaching and some consulting
Hmm.
around building shift sites all across America. My heart will be that there will be a shift in every inner city in America, and it's
Right.
about 500 plus inner cities. And so
Yes.
I could see shifting 500 hoods across America.
No, I love it, man. We definitely got to collaborate, man, for sure. We are living in an informational age, so the digital marketing company is needed. You know what I'm saying? Really, with any kind of business, right? You don't have to be a
Right.
tech company, but you do need to have some kind of a tech presence, if you will. And
Yes.
so, what does that look like for a new company that wants to start XYZ company? Like what should I be thinking about when I sit down with a digital marketing agency such as yourself? Like what kind of questions should I ask? How do I know this digital marketing company can benefit my organization as much as possible, not just kind of like sell me anything? So if we can walk through that, that'd be dope.
Yeah. So one of the things we got you got to be clear on is like when you're launching something new, you
Yeah.
don't have a lot of funds to allocate. But the problem is, as a startup, the first thing to go is the marketing budget, if you have a marketing budget, right? But I always like to say, hey, you need to be able to delegate or designate at least 10% of your budget to marketing.
Mm.
Why? Because sales and marketing is the engine that you need for your company to fly, right? And so one of the things that you got to be careful of if you have a hustle and you've launched something, agencies will try to sell you what you don't need,
Hmm.
right? And the reality is what you need is a social media marketing plan. That's what you need. And
Yeah.
so if you're a new company, you may not be able to put them on retainer, but my thing would be, hey, ask them to do some trainings with you so that you can DIY your own organization and business
Mm.
until you can bootstrap your way to being having somebody on retainer, right?
Gotcha.
And so one of the things you may want to ask is, hey, can you help me give me an introduction to the world of social media marketing? I need to know the basics to social media marketing. Maybe you need a strategy. Like, can you help me create a strategy for my company? Could be another thing, right?
Yeah.
I think that's very important. So an introduction to social media marketing, you need a strategy for your company, right? And then you need to ultimately learn how am I going to build a company that gets leads, whether it's e-commerce, whether it's whatever kind of business, we need leads, right?
Right. Yeah.
And so lead generation could be another thing. Now, if you can't hire that company to do leads for you, at least hire them to train you on how to get leads.
Right.
Um, at the very minimum, I would say that if you can't hire an agency or you can't even hire them to train you, bootstrap your way by learning yourself, right?
Hmm.
And there are courses out there like udemy.com, lynda.com, YouTube, obviously Google that can help you get started. HubSpot Academy, Facebook has a whole free social media um, platform to learn from as well. So those are things that I would say, hey, this is where you need to get started if you don't have the budget for it.
Wow, yeah, that's great, great stuff, man. Great stuff. What do you think about? advertising, just paying for marketing opposed to like organic. Of course, that's better, you know what I mean, because it's more, it's natural, right? But advertising is a part of it. Could be a part of a marketing budget. So, what's your thoughts
Yeah.
with that with social media marketing,
Yep.
advertising?
So advertisement would fit up under that umbrella of digital marketing, right? And what I would say about that is it's almost impossible to advertise without having a little with some marketing. I'm not saying that you can't, but the idea of organic on Facebook is hard unless you're already an influencer, unless
Hmm.
somebody already knows you. Why? Because the algorithm is set up to where only 2% of your audience is even seeing the content
Yeah,
that you're creating.
that is
Now,
something. Yeah.
yeah, so it's not to say that you can't create content that's not engaging, but you have to then begin to look at what is it in the content that I'm creating that my audience is consuming. And then if you can build content around that, then that can help you alleviate some marketing dollars that you may not have for paid advertising. I'd say also, if you don't have the money for paid advertisement, I would try to leverage the virality of different platforms like Instagram Reels. Instagram Reels is a viral function of Instagram right now, basically a knockoff of TikTok. TikTok is probably the
Mm,
most viral. And so if you have an e-commerce site where your company isn't local, then TikTok can be a very free way to get organic virality by putting content on TikTok. So TikTok, Snapchat has a new kind of knockoff of TikTok and Instagram. So I'd
yeah,
say go after those with content if you
yeah,
don't have the marketing dollars for paid advertising.
man, excellent stuff, man. Speaking like a true marketing expert, man. So at the point, your level that you're at right now, are you um coming up with your own strategies, or do you have a team for that and they kind of just implement it for you? Because I know some of the stuff you're actually in yourself, but is it like
Yeah.
you're at the round table with them, or is that something you fully delegate to someone else?
Yeah, we have a team,
Okay.
and we're growing so fast. I need to add another team member. But the major areas of our agency is strategy. So I do all the strategy. So you have companies that say, "Hey, would you come in and help us create a customer value journey where we're helping our customers along the way, all the way to conversion?" Right. So I come in and help with strategy. So I do the strategy, and then I do the lead generation. Companies
Okay.
come at me and say, "Hey, man, I have a school that one of my clients is a pretty big school in 3 different parts of the country, and they're saying, 'Hey, we need students in the seats. Can you help us with that?' Well,
Yeah.
certainly I can help you with lead generation, right? And then we have social media management and monitoring, which I'm learning is becoming more and more necessary because we only have so much time, and if we're not engaging with our audience, then we could be losing our audience. So companies may say, "Hey, I need you to manage our brand for us," right? And so I have a team that helps with the management and the monitoring. And then as we grow, I'm going to be bringing somebody on for the lead generation. That's the next piece, and kind of take my seat right there so we can continue to grow.
Well, yeah, no, dope stuff, man. Thank you, brother, for coming on, man. Hey, I told you, man, we will go past
I
30 minutes.
know
Hey, look, hey,
we're
I
at
knew
50.
that. Hey, I knew that before we sat down, man. We was gonna rock it on out, man. You got so much information, man. This is it's dope, man. A lot of great information. However, man, we're gonna go ahead and close out, man. Is there any other words of advice, anybody that's listening, whether they're incarcerated or they just wanna escape the odds through entrepreneurs, switch hustles, whether they got on their business from 9 to 5 and they like, hey, I really want to try to do something differently. Like what advice would you have for them? And also give me your 3 books while you were incarcerated that you read.
Yeah, man. I would say this: your purpose is bigger than your prison. You may be behind the walls right now, your purpose is bigger. You may be out and feel like you're trapped, your purpose is bigger. You can escape the odds, but it begins with realizing that you have power. You have
Hmm.
power to change somebody's life, and you are the solution to somebody's problem. You got to believe that.
There you go.
One of the biggest books that I read was beautiful for me, man, was a book by Rick Warren, A Purpose Driven Life. It's an old
Yeah,
school classic.
yeah.
I read Purpose and Power of Vision by Miles Monroe. And then just in the area of leadership, man, I've there John C. Maxwell,
Yeah.
leading yourself, 360-degree leader. All of those are great books to read.
Okay, cool, man. Thank you, man. Appreciate that. Well, there you have it. Another dope episode of Escaping the Odds, where we interview the formerly incarcerated who are now successful entrepreneurs like Mr. Myron Pierce. You can catch us here on YouTube, escapingtheodds.com. We revamped the website. A lot of great dope information on there, resource directory. We're doing a lot of great things over there, so check that out, escapingtheodds.com. Instagram, Escaping the Odds Media. Facebook, Escaping Odds Media as well. We're doing big things. We got the merchandise, Switch Hustles. That's for anyone, not only just someone formerly incarcerated, but just changing your mindset, doing something differently, and just getting leveling up from a financial standpoint. And so I want to thank you, brother, for coming on, rocking out with us, man. We definitely appreciate all the information and continue to support myself and Mr. Myron Pierce, all the things he has going down in Omaha and nationally. So thanks a lot, brother. Take
Thanks,
care.
bro. Appreciate it already.
Yep. All right. Peace, bro.
Yep.